more important than you think. For instance, people usually eat food on a first date to see what their potential partner is like. It's also a touchy subject for some high-end chefs. You could think that cooking is an art, or you could think that it's just something to keep you alive. These are both granola bars, but of different textures and ingredients. This one is crispier, therefore it can be consumed quicker, assuming you are able to quickly snap the granola in your teeth. This one is softer, meaning it is chewier and takes more time to consume. And this is an ordinary egg.
You could eat it plain, with sauteed vegetables, in pasta dishes, with a salad, or even on a steak. You don't even have to keep it sunny side up. You could hard boil it, scramble it, poach it, and more.
Eggs can be used in lots of dishes. A little known fact about apples is that they have cyanide in their seeds. It's a low dosage, so you won't die from them after a few apples. Avocados are known very well for being one of the healthiest foods in America. It contains vitamin A, folate, vitamin C, potassium, and many other vitamins and minerals. It has a very high amount of fat, but fat doesn't always equal bad. Many fats, like coconut oil, are very essential to your immune system and are a very good substitution for butter. A good use for avocados is making it into guacamole, which has great uses in other dishes. Or you could dip tortilla chips in it. Bananas are known for their high potassium, but they also contain serotonin. Serotonin is also excreted from carcinoid tumors, so doctors may get a false positive test, leading you into an unneeded surgery. Moving aside from that, the banana skin is actually edible, believe it or not. Most people eat it without the skin, like this, but some people do still eat the skin. Even though it's disgusting, but I mean, whatever. We've got many types of lettuce, but they are divided into two different groups: leaf lettuce and head lettuce. A head lettuce resembles that of a human head, while leaf lettuce can be broken off into lettuce leaves. There isn't much difference to lettuce other than that. Water normally boils at 212 degrees Fahrenheit, known as the boiling point. Air bubbles rise up from the bottom and burst at the surface, releasing hot water vapor into the air. This creates a rolling action that can break up food and heat it. Fats and oils have a smoking point and can catch fire. Butter has the lowest smoking point, while oil has the highest. If you ever do have a grease fire, do not put it out with water. Water and oil don't work well together, so it will just splatter the flaming oil everywhere. Instead, you need to turn off the heat and toss salt on the fire, then put a lid over the top. Microwaves generate energy that gets transferred into the food directly, making it cook quicker. This form of cooking is more conventional than others because it takes less time, but it cooks outside in, opposing to ovens that cook throughout all at the same time. The average American eats roughly 1,500 pounds of food in their lifetime, the size of a compact car. These oversized helpings are much harder to obtain 400 years ago due to the lack of supermarkets. The early Americans would have to hunt, fish, and garden for their food. Nowadays, you can just go to a corner store and grab soda or factory goods from the shelves, though most snack goods didn't originate in America. Pretzels were created by German immigrants a few centuries after the British made it to America. Popcorn was created by Native Americans as a welcoming food at the first Thanksgiving. And tortilla chips were created by Hispanic Americans served with tomatoes and chili peppers. Most people already know of the world-famous potato chip story. A man by the name of George Crumb created a dish called Saratoga potatoes, in which he sliced potatoes thinly before frying them in hot oil. Working at a diner in the time, so he created multiple batches for the customers. The dish quickly spread across America, becoming the most common snack food today. The New Englanders and Southerners were also very diverse in their meals. The New Englanders chose to eat more healthy, consuming foods such as beans and bread. The Southerners ate large amounts of pork, lard, and hominy, a ground corn dish that has been soaked in lye to remove the holes. When a sea captain made it to the South in the 1800s, he wrote a book called Diary of America. On one of the pages, the text reads, 6 miles of roast pig. Uncooked meat is dangerous. It can be a host of harmful bacteria and germs, as well as giving you food poisoning. Cooking the meats neutralizes the negative effects, leaving the meat as a safe-to-eat food. There is a chart of safe internal cooking temperatures online that tell you when the food is safe to eat. The food can sometimes look and feel just like raw meat, so you have to make sure it is safe to eat using the thermometer. After cooking the meat, it has to rest to allow the continuous heat to kill off any of the remaining bacteria and germs. 5 more minutes. Cooking with fire was the first known cooking technique. People would cook meats and other inedible foods to make them able to be consumed. This originated in the prehistoric times when the most any person could do was hunt and create makeshift weapons. The cast iron ovens were first invented in the early 1700s, then gas and kerosene ovens in the 1800s. Prototypes for the electric ovens were created in the 1880s, then sold to the public in the 1920s. Canning came around in the 1970s so that people could keep food and not let it get spoiled or rotten for longer periods of time. Philip E. Nelson started work in aseptic packaging, which is a form of packaging that uses less salt and sugar, unlike canning. He won the World Food Prize in 2007 for this in the category of storage techniques. Fast food originated 3 decades ago as hot dog and hamburger stands. This trend started in Southern California and spread across America, then all across the world. It wasn't until recently that it made obesity more common among Americans. The process in which the companies make the fast food destroys most of its flavors, so they have to rely on chemicals to synthesize the flavors. Our taste buds are only able to perceive the most basic flavors, but the aroma of the chemicals makes up about 9/10 of the flavor. The brain pairs the smell of a food with the taste of it, deciding if it's something that you would want to eat. The scientists in charge of the chemicals have been able to take advantage of that, helping the fast food companies make appealing food. Your food preferences are formed in your early childhood. This depends on what you were fed. For example, if you were fed a lot of fruit in your childhood, you tend to like sweet things, while if you're fed a lot of proteins, you tend to like savory things. So I interviewed 3 people, John J. Smith, Benjamin Ben Adams, and Loretta Grisofi. I've interviewed them and I'm about to list off their questions and answers. Where were you trained in the field of culinary arts? I was trained at the Art Institute of North Hollywood in culinary arts / baking and pastry, and also as a chocolatier. Benjamin, I have no formal training. I flunked out of college at 19 and needed money, so I got a job as a dishwasher at a high-end resort. I moved up pretty quickly to assistant chef and learned a lot from the head chef. I got a second job at Elmer's where I learned line cooking, which was very stressful and chaotic. I worked under more chefs at more reputable places in Grants Pass, where I found out I really liked the kitchen culture. I have been doing kitchen work for 17 years, in which I've known 7 different chefs that have really stuck with me. I am now a sous chef in the best restaurant at the Oregon coast. Loretta, I was trained at Oregon Culinary Institute in the field of pastry arts. I've had training in European, but that's about it. What do you like most about being a chef? John, what I like most is being able to brighten people's days with my craft and in turn making their days better. Benjamin, freedom. I get to basically wear pajamas to work, which are known as chef whites. Restaurants are a completely different culture. It's not like a 9 to 5. There's a lot of freedom to be yourself. You don't have to have a degree, but all you need is an ability to listen and a desire. There's a lot of room for creative expression in the kitchen. It's never boring in there. Loretta, the ability to create delicious edible art. What is your favorite cuisine to cook? Oh, John, my favorite cuisine is all of it. Why limit oneself to favoritism when it comes to food, when there's so much to learn and experience? Benjamin. My favorite cuisine to cook is Pacific Northwest seafood. I have to say that it is different. There are subcategories to seafood. Loretta. My favorite thing to make is actually breakfast. What's your average pay as a chef? John. The pay is not often great, and a chef needs to have passion to make it in this industry. I would say my average weekly pay as a head chef was about $1,150 per week. Benjamin. My hourly pay is about $18.50 as far as cook jobs can go. There's certain benefits we get, such as not having to pay for food and rarely having to pay for alcohol. Loretta. It was $10 per hour. What dangers do you face in the kitchen? John. Danger is a part of the job. Cuts, losing fingers, burns, deep frying accidents. You have to be very mindful as a chef. Benjamin. The most common are burns, cutting your fingertips, and lots of falls. There's a lot of emotional damage as well. It's high intensity and sometimes people crack. Loretta. Dropping knives and burning yourself. Those are the two main ones. You can get overheated too, as in heat stroke. Why did you choose to specialize in culinary arts? John. I chose to specialize in culinary arts because I feel like food is my outlet and my art. It's about layering textures and flavors to create something beautiful on the plate. People visually take in food first, so if it looks and smells good, then that is good. Benjamin. I flunked out of college 5 times and needed a steady source of income. Kitchens were the only place where I felt like I was myself. I enjoyed my work there. Most kitchens don't have drug testing, but if you get your job done, you're fine. Loretta. I love baking, far more than cooking. I'm better at it and I enjoy it more. What advice can you give to amateurs? John. My advice to anyone interested in cooking is to go to the library and get a book called The Flavor Bible. And also be passionate about your craft. Create, inspire, and motivate with everything you do and make. Don't hold back and strive to create a story and experience with what you have on a plate. Also, don't forget to tuck your fingers in and practice knife cuts. Benjamin. Be sparing. If you have a good product, don't cover it in a bunch of stuff. Keep it simple and let the good ingredients shine instead of trying to make it overcomplicated. It's not like if you have a filet mignon, you'll pour a bunch of A1 barbecue sauce on it. Loretta. Read your recipes all the way through before you start. Measure all of your ingredients before you start as well. Makes it easier to know if you forgot to pour something or put too much of something in. It's kind of like a science formula. Culinary arts is a diverse field of practice in which the likes shouldn't be taken lightly. The effort of cooking has been made enjoyable over the past hundreds of years, making this more of a hobby than an essential to our survival. The fields of culinary arts, baking, cooking, researching, science, are all very important to the modern lifestyle.